This is a graph of agricultural production from 1960 to 1987. The output increased by a magnanimous amount, but how exactly did this happen? To understand this, you would have to go all the way back to 1960 when the agricultural crisis began. In 1960, India was met with a big problem. There was unprecedented unemployment, inactive farms, dwindling agricultural produce, and the possibility of mass hunger and starvation. To resolve this speeding crisis, the Indian Minister of Agriculture at the time invited the renowned environmentalist Norman Borlaug to India. Borlaug, with the support of the Rockefeller Foundation and the Mexican government, supplied 100 kgs of seeds to Delhi, Punjab, Uttaranchal, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and Maharashtra. Punjab was selected by the Indian government to be the first site for the crops because of its reliable water supply and history of agricultural success.
Now, despite these efforts, India was experiencing minor famines and starvation in almost all parts of the country, which was limited by the US shipping over a fifth of its wheat production to India as aid. Soon after this, India adopted the IRA. What is the IRA?
That's never seen before in the rice sector. It was based upon a single gene, and that single gene changed the plant architecture.
We were able to get up to 10 metric tons per hectare. The average yield in the Philippines was 1.2 metric tons at the time we went in there. And that started the revolution in rice.
The IR-8 is a semi-dwarf variety of rice, which was developed by the International Rice Research Foundation. In the findings of S.K. Datta, IR-8 yielded 5 tons of rice per hectare with no fertilizer and 10 tons per hectare under optimal conditions,
which include water, irrigation facilities, fertilizers, and pesticides.
This was 10 times the yield of traditional rice, and therefore it was popularly dubbed as the miracle rice.
The stagnation in agriculture was permanently broken by the Green Revolution. The Green Revolution led to the rise of high production of food grains, resulting from the usage of high-yield variety seed.
The availability of irrigation facilities, fertilizers, and pesticides led to the success of the Green Revolution in the more affluent states such as Punjab, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana. The first phase was a period of high criticism amongst the national leaders as many of the poorer states suffered. However, in the second phase of the Green Revolution, the high-yielding variety technology spread to a large number of states and it benefited a huge number of crops. India attained a situation of self-sufficiency in food crops and was no longer at the mercy of any nation for meeting its food requirements. According to the renowned economist C.H. Hanumanta Rao, a good proportion of the rice and wheat that was produced was available as marketable surplus and was sold in the market by farmers. As a result of this, the prices of food grains reduced, which hugely benefited the lower class who was spending a huge percentage of their income on food consumption. The Green Revolution also led to a revolution in terms of creating a food stock at the government level. This food stock would then be used for providing food security during times of famines, natural disasters, or any other situation which required supply of food to citizens at large. The economic justification of subsidies is a debate that occurs over and over again. Many economists have expressed their concern and their disagreement with the policies of the government regarding agricultural subsidies. Initially, it was agreed that it was a necessary incentive that was to be provided to farmers, especially the farmers with smaller land holdings, so that they could take up the risk and make investments in high-yielding technology. Subsidies were aimed at encouraging the farmers to take in the new technology and increase the productivity in their farms. And some economists believe that once the technology was profitable and was used across the nation, it should have been phased out slowly. On the flip side, some economists believe that the government should continue with the subsidies because agriculture in India is a very risky business and most farmers don't have the tools to eliminate these risks. The high dependence on rainfall, lack of irrigation facilities, and economic capital would create a gap between the rich and the poor farmers in the race to produce at economy of scale. This would inherently push India away from its goal of achieving equity. While both of these schools of thoughts have their pros and cons, the debate seems to never end. Economists have analyzed across nations that as countries become more prosperous, the contribution contribution to GDP from agriculture reduces, and so does employment in that sector. But what happened in India was different. The GDP from agriculture reduced, but the population involved remained primarily the same. Many eminent politicians and economists have pointed out that these drawbacks are failures of the policies that followed 1960 and encouraged the government to take up capitalist policies that focused on opening up the economy and increasing investment. These policies took their form as the 1991 economic reforms and changed the economic structure of the country forever.